The 6-week-long auto worker strike against GM is coming with consequences for Ohioans. More than $2 million in state and federal funding is coming to Athens County. And in sports, the Ohio football team looks to gain momentum heading into the last few weeks of conference play. Good evening, I'm Anna Azalian. Thanks so much for joining us. Local agencies are getting thousands of dollars to help battle the opioid epidemic. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost expanded a program that helps address addictions and overdoses around the state. A total of more than $1 million was distributed across 30 counties. Nearly $140,000 will go to the Fairfield-Hocking-Athens Major Crimes Unit. The Chillicothe Police Department will receive nearly $90,000, and more than $43,000 will go to the Pike County Sheriff's Office. But data shows that opioid prescriptions in Ohio and West Virginia have actually decreased. According to the Centers for Disease Control, about 85% of counties in Ohio and about 62% of counties in Kentucky saw a decrease in the number of opioids being prescribed between 2010 and 2015. But despite that, in the most recent CDC data from 2017, Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky are still among the states with the highest rates of death due to drug overdose. Athens County will receive more than $2 million to improve rural transportation. More than $100 million in grants will be distributed in 2020. This is coming from the state transportation budget that was approved earlier this year and some federal funds. According to the Ohio Department of Transportation, the money will benefit several local services such as the Athens Public Transit, the Chillicothe Transit System, and the Lancaster Public Transit System, which will all receive more than $1 million. Some of that money will also be used to improve elderly transportation in rural areas. ODOT says about $2 million will go to the Elderly and Disabled Transit Fare Assistance Program. This is important because the elderly population in rural areas is growing. According to the U.S. Census, the percentage of the population in rural areas that are 65 and older increased from about 11% in 1980 to more than 17% between 2012 and 2016.
Hi, I'm forecaster Lissa Lanier from the Newswatch Weather Center. Right now in Athens, it is 64 degrees under cloudy skies. The humidity is 66%, so it is kind of humid out there, but nothing too humid. Pressure is 30.13 inches and the winds are from the south-southwest at 5 miles an hour. Across the region right now, it is 64 in Athens, 71 down in Ripley, 67 in Marietta, 71 in New Martinsville, 63 in Cambridge, and 58 in Newark, all under mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies. It has been a pretty clear day across the region. There's no precipitation right now. The temperatures will drop for the next few days and there will be rain on its way. And there will be some winter frost for your weekend frost, but not winter frost, sorry. But so definitely be prepared, but it will clear up for your weekend ahead and it will be sunny as you go for your weekend. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Alyssa. The largest underground coal mining company in America has filed for bankruptcy. Murray Energy Corporation has a large footprint in the Ohio Valley. The company operates coal mines in 7 states, including 10 facilities in West Virginia and 2 in Ohio, according to federal mining data. Murray Energy is the 9th coal producer to seek bankruptcy since President Trump took office. And General Motors is projecting losses in nearly $3 billion due to the 6-week-long United Auto Workers strike. But the strike didn't just hurt GM. It also comes with harsh consequences for auto workers, especially here in Ohio. As CNN's Vanessa Yurkovich reports, a GM plant in Ohio will remain permanently closed as part of the agreement.
Never, ever, ever did I think I would see this day.
Tiffany King spent more than half her life working at this GM plant in Lordstown, Ohio. This parking lot, once filled with the cars she helped build, now it sits completely empty.
It's all gone in a blink, in an instant.
This is her first time back since she helped build the last crew 6 months ago. She's held out hope this engine would start again, but that ended Friday. GM and the United Auto Workers Union signed their contract with no new plan for Lordstown.
By that time, my mind was already made up. I was going to stay here. I wanted to stay here. This is my home, my community.
Lordstown, the poster child for the auto industry, once a huge economic driver for this rural part of the state. Not anymore. President Trump took notice, came to town, and promised these workers their jobs.
Don't sell your house. Do not sell it. We're going to get those values up. We're going to get those jobs coming back, and we're going to fill up those factories or rip them down and build brand new ones. That's what's going to happen.
But it didn't. Most workers have left town, and the city says it's lost $1 million since March. These two shuttered restaurants are signs of the times. What will this area start to look like in the next couple months, next couple years?
I would say it's going to get, economically, it's going to get worse. You're not going to have the engine that drove it for so many years.
Bill Adams heard the president's promise to save his job, and now he's helping other union members find new ones. Do you think it was an unrealistic promise that he made?
Pretty much anything that man says is unrealistic to me.
But a lot of people do believe. They believed that he was going to save jobs.
How'd that work out? It didn't. He lied.
I wanted to believe him. I wanted to give him a chance. I did not vote for him, but I thought if he could do something, fine. We'll take any avenue of help that we could get to keep the facility open.
Doug Grant worked in Lordstown for nearly 20 years, and he doesn't plan on leaving.
You hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And right now we're living the worst.
So what do you do now?
I've looked for some jobs. As you get older, it's harder. I'm going to be forced into retirement, take a retirement package.
This plant represents more than just jobs. Its demise is an industry indicator, and for Grant, a warning about the future.
If it could happen to Lordstown, again, another cliche, if it could happen here, it could happen anywhere.
GM refused the union's demand to shift production from its Mexican plants back to U.S. facilities. Now it will go ahead with plans to permanently close 2 other U.S. factories where operations ended earlier this year. And 2 fires in 2 regions of California are raging. Firefighters are battling high winds as thousands evacuate. That story after the break. Plus, the details of the mission that killed an ISIS leader are unfolding. That's coming up. Stay with us.
Next time on Finding Your Roots, A-list entertainers with family secrets.
Oh my God.
Christopher Walken.
This is stuff that I'm hearing for the first time.
Carly Simon.
Wow, that is amazing. This is such an eye-opener.
Fred Armisen.
What? Why hasn't anyone told me this?
Will their ancestors' true identities redefine who they are?
He looks like a tough customer.
It's like a movie. It is like a movie.
Finding Your Roots.
I grew up in the South Bronx in the 1970s, during the time of the fires. Landlords were burning our buildings for profit, and they didn't have to rebuild our homes. 250,000 people displaced, residents and grassroots organizations had no other choice but to fight back. These were our homes. This was our neighborhood. We weren't gonna take it lying down.
Decade of Fire.
On Life from Above. Looking down from space, satellite cameras capture the brilliant colors of our planet, revealing an amazing kaleidoscope, set in a world that is vibrant, surprising, and changing, created by nature and humans. Discover our planet's incredible spectrum of colors, as you've never seen it before.
Nature's journey into the OKAVANGO continues. In this realm, water connects everything. To survive, you must adapt. From elephants, the architects of this Eden, to the endangered predators. No one can predict their fate in this river of dreams.
Officials are battling high winds today as they work to try to get 2 separate California wildfires under control. Firefighters say in the north, the fire is burning through wine country, and down south, homes in Los Angeles County have already turned to ashes. Wind gusts are up to 65 miles per hour in the north and as high as 80 miles per hour in the south. Officials are warning about the unpredictability of the fires, saying it is not safe yet.
The danger has not passed yet, and we continue to monitor the situation.
Those can pick up and transfer the fire miles away sometimes.
Evacuation orders are continuing, and more than 26 million people are still under red flag warnings. And President Trump is announcing the most significant death of a terror group leader since Osama bin Laden in 2011. Now we're finding out more about the mission that killed ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. John Lorick reports.
ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi detonated his suicide vest in a dead-end tunnel Saturday after being cornered by U.S. forces in a Syrian compound. That's according to President Trump.
He died like a dog. He died like a coward.
Baghdadi was under surveillance for a few weeks prior to the mission, Mr. Trump told reporters Sunday morning following his death. Last week, the president was given plans of attack.
He reviewed them, asked some great questions, chose the option that we thought gave us the highest probability of success.
The covert raid involved sending 8 helicopters of elite U.S. troops toward Baghdadi's compound. This footage, reportedly of the mission, was taken by a Syrian activist. Members of the Trump administration who watched the raid unfold as it happened from the Situation Room were tight-lipped about the mission, not even telling key congressional Democratic leaders about it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi issued a statement calling the death of Baghdadi significant, but added the House must be briefed on the administration's overall strategy in the region. Regardless, Democrats agree with the president. The death of Baghdadi is a major moment in the war on terror.
It's good news in the ongoing fight against the terrorist threat posed by jihadist groups like ISIS and al-Qaeda.
This is a real blow against ISIS and a positive step in the fight against stateless terrorism.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Some ISIS fighters were killed, others captured, and at least 11 children were taken into custody. Esper says that no U.S. service member was killed in the operation. And as that all plays out in D.C. today, the impeachment inquiry against President Trump continues. Today, Democrats released a document that approves the next phase in the inquiry. The resolution calls for open hearings and a report from the House Intelligence Committee on its findings and recommendations. Members of the House say the resolution is intended to provide a, quote, clear path forward. And moving now to Alabama, a federal judge blocked a controversial state abortion law today. The law, which was set to take effect next month, would have made almost all abortions illegal in Alabama, including in cases of rape and incest. The law also said any doctors who performed illegal abortions could face life in prison. Some conservative lawmakers say the goal of the law was to start a court battle that would hopefully lead to challenging Roe v. Wade. And here in Ohio, the state Supreme Court is refusing to hear an appeal from the last abortion clinic in the Dayton area. The clinic is fighting to avoid closure after a state law left the future of the clinic in question. The law requires abortion clinics in Ohio to get a written patient transfer agreement from a local hospital. The clinic was unable to do so, so state health officials revoked their license. And a celebration of culture came to Ohio University. How vibrant Indian customs and traditions came alive on stage and what it means to the community. That story is still ahead.
There is a temperature drop coming in the next few days, as well as rain. I will talk about that in my full forecast, but first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
Next time on Finding Your Roots, A-list entertainers with family secrets.
Oh my God.
Christopher Walken.
This is stuff that I'm hearing for the first time.
Carly Simon.
Wow, that is amazing. This is such an eye-opener.
Fred Armisen.
What? Why hasn't anyone told me this?
Will their ancestors' true identities redefine who they are?
He looks like a tough customer.
It's like a movie. It is like a movie.
Finding Your Roots.
On Life from Above, Looking down from space, satellite cameras capture the brilliant colors of our planet, revealing an amazing kaleidoscope set in a world that is vibrant, surprising, and changing, created by nature and humans. Discover our planet's incredible spectrum of colors as you've never seen it before.
By noon, we had conceded that the town had basically burned down.
The plan was completely overwhelmed by circumstances. But I think those circumstances were not unprecedented.
And I told my husband, I'm like, I can't run through fire. And he said, you're gonna have to.
They've been on probation, they violated the probation. If PG&E was an individual and not a corporation, I think by now they would be in prison.
I grew up in the South Bronx in the 1970s, during the time of the fires. Landlords were burning our buildings for profit, and they didn't have to rebuild our homes. 250,000 people displaced, residents and grassroots organizations had no other choice but to fight back. These were our homes. This was our neighborhood. We weren't gonna take it lying down.
Decade of fire.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Lanier, and right now it is 64 degrees under cloudy skies. The humidity is 66% and the pressure is 30.13 inches and rising. The temperatures across the region: 64 in Athens right now, 71 in Ripley, 67 in Ironton, 64 in Jackson, 62 in Chillicothe, all under partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. Tonight in Athens, the low will be 50 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. The humidity will be 92% and the moon will be a waxing crescent. The winds will be from the north at 0 to 5 miles an hour. At 8 p.m. it will be 60 degrees and there will be light winds tonight. At 10 p.m. it will cool to 57 degrees and it will be mostly cloudy. At midnight it will be 54 degrees and it will be kind of chilly after midnight, so definitely take a light jacket if you're going out and about tonight. Across the region tonight, 50 is the low in Athens, 52 in Ripley, 51 in Ironton, 48 in Jackson, 48 in Chillicothe, 49 in Columbus, 47 in Newark, 48 in Cambridge, and 52 in New Martinsville, all under mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies. The bus stop forecast for your morning tomorrow: it will be a chilly start to the morning at 52 degrees at 8 a.m. It will be very cloudy tomorrow. 10 a.m. it will warm up a little bit to 56 degrees, and at noon it will be 63 degrees. So it will be a nice morning, so try to enjoy it before the rain comes. Tomorrow in Athens, the high will be 68 degrees, and there will be overcast skies all day tomorrow, and there will be evening showers around 4 to 5 p.m. Across the region, it will be 68 degrees in Athens, 72 in Ripley, 67 in Ironton, 66 in Jackson, and there will be a chance of rain across the region tomorrow. This is because there will be a tight pressure gradient and faster winds aloft as you go tomorrow. This cold front will be passing through tonight, and then the stationary front will be hovering over our area, and then the pressure system will move out of their area by Thursday. Looking at your week ahead, on Wednesday, there will be a 90% chance of evening showers, and it will be 68 degrees with overcast skies. Thursday, it will be rainy all day, and it will be 66 degrees on Thursday. It will be 55 degrees on Friday, and it will be 20% and it's very sunny, so it will be a nice start to the weekend, but there will be that temperature drop, so it will be kind of chilly on Friday and throughout your weekend. Saturday, the sun will continue at 52 degrees, and Sunday it will be 50 degrees, partly cloudy, but it will still be a very beautiful day on Sunday, but definitely keep your jacket still. Monday, it will be 53 degrees, and it will be sunny. Tuesday, there is a 20% chance of rain, and it will be 59 degrees. The lows will be in the low 30s to 60s. So definitely try to enjoy your morning tomorrow before that rain hits.
Yeah, it definitely seems like we're still kind of staying in that weird in-between where we need a jacket in the morning and then by the afternoon we're kind of wanting to go more the t-shirt route.
Yes, definitely. It changes all the time.
Yeah. Thanks, Alyssa. And traditional Indian food and classical Indian dance forms were the highlight of Indian Cultural Night. The event, hosted by the Indian Student Association, kickstarted the celebration of Diwali, the Hindu Festival of Lights. WOUB's Aditya Sahasrabuddhe talked to attendees of the event.
Indian Cultural Night was a brief, explorative journey of Indian customs, traditions, and culture. Dance performances like Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Bhangra, and fusion, and recitation in Urdu and English were some of the standout acts. Performances were preceded by brief presentations about the history of each act.
So everyone just danced on the tunes, and that was one of our main goals, and we achieved it.
The jam-packed Baker Ballroom with a little over 320 folks was a great turnout for the Indian Cultural Night. Per previous data, more than half of the audiences were expected to be non-Indians, and that turned out to be true. With people from all major ethnicities in the world, the dancers at the event were successful in making everyone dance to the Indian tunes.
I believe such nights are really important to connect back to the culture and all the traditional forms, what we celebrate, how we celebrate all these festivals. It's really important to connect back to where we are rooted.
Indian Cultural Night kickstarts the celebration of the Festival of Lights, Diwali. Indian Student Association organized this event here at Baker Ballroom, which gave everyone the opportunity to not only grab traditional Indian food, but also experience Bharatanatyam, Kathak, and Bollywood dance numbers. Although the show was studded with some magnificent performances, the highlight was the traditional Indian food. Attendees enjoyed appetizers like baby pan fry, wet 65 and masala chai, whereas kadhai paneer, Mughlai chicken and Kashmiri dum aloo were in main course. For WOUB News Athens, I am Aditya Sahasrabuddhe.
The Indian Student Association posted on their Facebook page that the event sold out last Wednesday. And now WOUB sports reporter Brian Kerp joins me at the desk. Brian, it looks like basketball season's almost underway, right?
Yeah, and both the men's and women's basketball team will be back in the convo this weekend. We'll hear from both the men's and women's coaches right after the break. And also right after the break, the Ohio football team picked up a big win in the rain on Saturday. Could that be a momentum boost? Find out up next.
What's up, WOUB viewers? I am Joseph Hennessy, the host of Gridiron Glory, and our show airs every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. and 11:30 a.m. on Saturdays. Next week is the last regular season game of the year. Wild time flies when you're having fun. We'll be all around southeastern Ohio to watch teams compete for a spot in the state playoffs. Teams are fighting for the ultimate glory. We're going to see who comes out on top. Follow all of our social media accounts, and remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I grew up in the South Bronx in the 1970s, during the time of the fires. Landlords were burning our buildings for profit, and they didn't have to rebuild our homes. 250,000 people displaced, residents and grassroots organizations had no other choice but to fight back. These were our homes. This was our neighborhood. We weren't gonna take it lying down.
Decade of fire.
Ever wondered what happened to Roadshow's favorite treasures after our cameras left town?
I had no idea that it could be worth anything like that.
Thank you!
It shocked all of us.
I just, to this day, I can't really comprehend that much money for a screen.
When we first saw you, my heart started going like this.
Sold.
Find out in Antiques Roadshow's 500th episode special, Extraordinary Finds.
By noon, we had conceded that the town had basically burned down.
The plan was completely overwhelmed by circumstances. But I think those circumstances were not unprecedented.
And I told my husband, I'm like, I can't run through fire. And he said, you're gonna have to.
They've been on probation, they violated the probation. If PG&E was an individual and not a corporation, I think by now they would be in prison.
Welcome back, I'm Brian Kerp. The Ohio football team not only had to battle the rain and the wind on Saturday, they also had to battle the top team in the MAC West, the Ball State Cardinals. The Bobcats found success in the rushing game, running for 316 yards. Nathan Rourke and O'Shawn Allison went over the century mark in rushing yards. The defense also held strong against Ball State's powerful offense. The Bobcats are now 3-1 in MAC play. With 4 games remaining, Ohio is looking to use Saturday's victory as a building block for the final stretch.
This certainly is a big step. I mean, that's a very good team. They were unbeaten in the MAC. The West is a very, all divisions are really good this year. But it seems like last week we played the best team in the East. This time we played the best team in the West.
Coming off the Kent State game, was a good win for us, and they just carried that on over to this week, and we're going to have to continue to carry it on because I think there's a lot of good teams in the MAC, and everybody. If you're not playing your best football, you're not going to win.
While the football team is coming off a win, the volleyball team is coming off 2 losses to Western Michigan and Northern Illinois this past weekend. The Bobcats fell to the Broncos on Friday in 5 sets. Ohio then fell to NIU in 4 sets on Saturday in DeKalb. The Bobcats couldn't seem to put everything together last weekend.
We are getting better. We just need to get all the pieces working at the same time because we'll have times where our offense is really good and our defense needs to step it up, or our defense is really good and our offense needs to step it up. So he kind of talked about how we need to just put those 2 things together. When we do that, it's going to be really good, but we haven't found a way to do that yet. So he was kind of trying to let us know that we have the good parts of both of those. We just need to put them together.
It's almost November, which means basketball season is almost here. Ohio basketball returns to the Convo this weekend. The men's team will open up its season this Saturday with an exhibition against Capital. Tip-off for that game is set for 1 p.m. Saturday's game will be an opportunity for first-year head coach Jeff Bowles to see what his young team can do in a live game setting.
Yeah, I think it'll be really good to play against somebody else. You're kind of in the point where you're week 3, and everyone in the country's playing against each other. So it'll be good to play against somebody else who doesn't know what you're running, and see what they do, how we respond to adversity, and how our guys do.
After the men's game concludes, the women's team will play in a scrimmage against Walsh at 3:30. This season, the Bobcats look to claim the MAC championship and make the NCAA tournament, something they fell short of last season. After Saturday, Ohio will begin a tough non-conference schedule.
I mean, we wanted to give these kids a chance, and I don't know how many of those teams we can beat, but we're going to play them and give our kids a chance. And if we can beat them, then we bring an at-large into play, which obviously it was in play last year. We weren't quite good enough to get it, and so we just got to try to be a little bit better in hopes that it goes our way should we not win the conference tournament.
Ohio will open up the regular season against a tough opponent right away when they travel to Syracuse. Anna, tip-off for that is next Tuesday, 1 week from tonight.
And how's that team looking? Do you think they can take on the Orange?
Hey, they return a lot of great starters. I could see them making the MAC tournament again. Hey, it might be a tough game there against Syracuse.
Thanks, Brian. We think a lot about spending when it comes to holidays like Christmas, but what about Halloween? The National Retail Federation says Americans are expected to spend nearly $9 billion this holiday. The NRF says that money goes to candy and costumes for you, your kids, and another member of the family, pets. They say nearly $500 million is going to costume for pets this year. Top costumes this year include pumpkins, hot dogs, and superheroes.
Looking at the week ahead, on Wednesday, there is a 90% chance of evening rain showers starting around 5 p.m. tomorrow. It will be 68 degrees on Wednesday. Thursday, it will be 66 degrees, and it will be rainy all day on Thursday. Friday, it will clear up, and it will be sunny with a 20% chance of morning rain showers, 55 degrees on Friday. Saturday, it will cool down a little bit more to 52 degrees, but it will still be sunny. Sunday, it will be partly cloudy with 50 degrees all day for your high. Monday, it will be 53 degrees and mostly sunny on Monday. Tuesday, it will be 59 degrees with a 20% chance of rain, and it will be partly cloudy on Tuesday. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Alyssa. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Anna Azalian. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, we can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org.
I grew up in the South Bronx in the 1970s, during the time of the fires. Landlords were burning our buildings for profit, and they didn't have to rebuild our homes. 250,000 people displaced, residents and grassroots organizations had no other choice but to fight back. These were our homes. This was our neighborhood. We weren't going to take it lying down.
Decade of fire.
Good evening, I'm Judy Woodruff. On the NewsHour tonight, speaking out. A decorated Army officer is the first White House staff member to tell Congress about the alarming nature of President Trump's push to withhold military aid from Ukraine for personal political reasons. Then, rethinking college, how a school in one of Baltimore's poorest neighborhoods graduates 95% of its students. And dancing through the years, celebrated choreographer Twyla Tharp on art, aging, and reimagining our relationship with the future.
Shut up and do what you love, and, be grateful and keep doing it, and stop second guessing it.
All that and more on tonight's PBS NewsHour.
Major funding for the PBS NewsHour has been provided by...
When it comes to wireless, Consumer Cellular gives its customers the choice. Our no-contract plans give you as much or as little talk, text, and data as you want. And our U.S.-based customer service team is on hand to help. To learn more, go to consumercellular.tv.
BNSF Railway. And with the ongoing support of these institutions. This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
For the first time, investigators in the House of Representatives have heard a direct account of the phone call that launched the impeachment inquiry. It came today from a veteran of 20 years in the U.S. military. White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor begins our coverage.
He arrived at the Capitol in uniform wearing his medals. Alexander Vindman, an Army lieutenant colonel, works for the National Security Council. On Tuesday, he became the first White House official who was on the call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine to testify as part of the impeachment inquiry.
Thank you very much.
That call happened on July 25th with President Volodymyr Zelensky and sits at the heart of the Democrats' investigations. In prepared testimony, Vindman said he was concerned about what he heard. Some Republicans, like Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, dismissed the testimony in advance.
The fundamental facts have never changed. We can read the call. We know what President Trump and President Zelensky have said.
Democrats, by contrast, said it was more confirmation of President Trump's misconduct.
You have a whistleblower complaint that has been repeatedly validated by Trump's own appointees.
Vindman said he witnessed attempts to pressure Zelensky into opening an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. The younger Biden was on the board of a Ukrainian gas company, Burisma. In his opening statement, Vindman said of the July call that, quote, "I did not think it was proper to demand a foreign government investigate a U.S. citizen, and I was worried about the implications for the U.S. government's support of Ukraine." He went on, "I realized that if Ukraine pursued an investigation into the Bidens and Burisma, it would likely be interpreted as a partisan play, which would